A woman found in Dade County off I-59 in December of 1988 has been identified. The information was revealed during a presser that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation held at the Dade County Sheriff's Office. Local 3's Dallas Payton joins us now in the studio with the identity and how technology helped. Dallas.
The woman was identified as Stacy Sikorski of Norton Shores, Michigan. A fingerprint helped confirm her identity about a week and a half ago. Her family has waited 33 years for answers to her disappearance. On Friday, December 16th, 1988, two Georgia Department of Transportation workers found the body of Stacy Sikorski. Since that day, the GBI and the Dade County Sheriff's Office spent years looking into the case, trying to find her. The case went cold and was reassigned in 2000 and again in 2015.
Forensic artist did another rendering to kind of update how she would look at this time, and we also redid the composite. We realized that as science changes, we knew of a new process with genealogy DNA. So we asked the FBI to help us with that. They created a new profile which had her identified as Miss Sikorski.
Since 1989, Sikorski has been buried in Dade County in an unmarked grave known only as Jane Doe. She'll now be reunited with her mother in Michigan.
And we were able to notify her and bring her a little bit of peace. We also were able to provide some jewelry that was found on Stacy back here in the crime scene and return that to her.
Othram, which is an American corporation that specializes in forensic genealogy, played a big role in connecting the dots. CEO David Middleman says his company has helped identify hundreds of missing people.
Is that at Othram we collect hundreds of thousands of data points from the DNA, not 20 markers, but hundreds of thousands. With those markers, we can do more than just look for an exact match. We can look for, say a more distant relative. And then using, a lot of different techniques, we can try to infer or narrow down the possibilities of who this person might be.
Middleman says bringing peace to the family means a lot to his company.
There's always someone waiting for an answer, and they don't live forever. They need to know in their lifetime what had happened to their loved one.
Now that Sikorski is identified, finding her killer is the next step in closing the case. In studio, Dallas Payton, Local 3 News.
Thank you, Dallas. Day 3 of the Aisha Jones murder trial is underway in Hamilton County Criminal Court. She faces first-degree murder charges for the 2018 death of Chattanooga man Norman Sullivan.
Testimony has concluded. Our Mary Frances Hoots is live with an update. Mary Frances.
Well, David and Cindy, the day started with the defense asking for a mistrial, citing misconduct from the state and misfiling of evidence. Judge Don Poole denied that, so the state called their final witness before resting. The defense did not call any witnesses, and Jones decided to not testify in her own trial. So after both sides rested, the defense then called again for a motion for judgment of acquittal, and again the judge denied it. So the day that the alleged crime happened, Aisha Jones, the defendant in this case, and her husband Dominic Gillespie were going to the victim Norman Sullivan's house for drugs, and an altercation broke out between the victim and Jones's husband. Now that happened behind closed doors. The fight then broke into the hallway where Jones was standing. Now the defense has relied really heavily on saying she was using self-defense whenever she fired shots. Now, it is important to note that Jones is charged with especially aggravated robbery, and the state is relying on that, saying she went there to rob Sullivan for drugs.
She and Dominic Gillespie left that apartment with Norman Sullivan's drugs. They left that apartment with Norman Sullivan's money, and they left after taking his life.
The judge is reading the jury their instructions. He has been doing that for about the last hour. Once that concludes, deliberations will begin, and there's no telling how long the jury will deliberate for. Whenever a verdict is reached, of course, we'll be sure to let you know. In Hamilton County, Mary Frances Hoots, Local 3 News.
So we turn our attention now to David Carnes in the Storm Alert Center.
David, what's that there behind you? It looks pretty.
It's a beautiful butterfly. Look at this. Absolutely gorgeous day today. A little on the cool side, though, and I'm actually going to read some of this. A great email today from a good friend of ours that sends in some really amazing pictures. Charles Pettyjohn lives in Dalton, rather, and he said, since today was a bit cooler, I wasn't expecting to see this swallowtail butterfly going after the ground ivy in my garden. Between the garden and my yard, I have numerous varieties of wildflowers, ground ivy, henbit, star violets, common violets, dandelions, wood sorrel, and a few more. And he says a lot of people call them weeds. If flowers are weeds and weeds are flowers, then my yard's doing great. It's doing amazing. If you have a picture, send it into weather@local3news.com. We'd love to show it on the air. Go out for an evening stroll. Take in some of this beautiful, wonderful air that we have in place. It is going to stay a little breezy for the next few hours. Those winds are going to be decreasing, though, as we move through the evening. Temperatures dropping from the 60s into the 50s. Sunset at 7:56. If you're getting that scratchy throat, the watery eyes, the pollen counts are in the high category, and I hate to say it, but it's probably going to stay that way, if not even worsen a little bit, and those counts getting a little bit higher heading through the weekend into the beginning of next week. There's the wind blowing out of the west-southwest at 18 miles per hour, 65 degrees in Chattanooga, 64 in Cleveland, 62 in Murphy. Temperatures are running well below where they were this time yesterday. Remember, yesterday we were in the low 70s, and the sustained winds, you can see 10 to 20 miles per hour still blowing, and the wind gusts have been pretty impressive. 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts reported earlier today in Chattanooga, made it up to 34 miles per hour in Monteagle. Skywatchers checking in with some nice cool readings this afternoon. Low to mid-60s, 65 in East Brainerd, 65 Cleveland, 58 in Monteagle. And we're looking at 65 in Delano, 66 in Unaka, and 66 in Dayton. That is what we're looking at for the next several hours, rather. Temperatures dropping into the 50s, ultimately the low 40s, and we're going to see the clouds increasing as we head into the day tomorrow as well. We'll have much more coming up in just a moment. David?
Thank you very much, David. Always good to hear from you, and reports about your flowers. As prices continue to rise, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee is hoping to provide some relief, proposing a 30-day suspension of grocery sales tax. Meredith Aldis joins us with more.
David, overall prices are up 9% from a year ago, and economists say they may continue to rise, but this tax suspension may help you save a little. Governor Lee has proposed to suspend state and local sales tax on groceries for 30 days. He says this is the most effective way to provide direct relief to every Tennessean. UTC economist Dr. Alligator says both consumers and sellers should benefit.
Consumers will be benefited because they can buy at a lower price, and when they can buy things at a cheaper price, probably they will also buy more, and that will help the sellers to sell more.
Now, the inflation target rate is 2%, but Dr. Alligator says we may not see that for another 4 or 5 years. The proposal will be included in the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget, which will be delivered next Tuesday. Reporting live in the studio, Meredith Aldis, Local 3 News.
Thank you, Meredith. As we head into break, we want to let you know tickets for the St. Jude Dream Home are on sale now. If you reserve your ticket before this Saturday, you'll also get a chance to win a $2,500 gift card and tickets to a Luke Combs concert.
Luke Combs, hey, we like him. You can reserve your ticket by calling 800-750-6962. You can go to dreamhome.org. If you live in Tennessee, you may reserve your ticket online. If you live out of state, you must reserve by phone. Now, last year was an early sellout, about a month, so I would advise you to get yours right now. We'll be right back. Airlines are calling on the government to lift mask mandates on travel. The CEOs of major U.S. airlines and cargo carriers signed a letter to the president asking him to lift mask mandates and pre-departure testing for travelers. The letter cites high immunity levels, vaccine availability, and hospital-grade cabin air as reasons to lift the mandate. The mandate was recently extended to April 18th.
A new study found taking aspirin during the first day of hospitalization with COVID-19 may reduce the risk of death. The results were strongest for patients over 60. Patients given aspirin on their first day in the hospital were nearly 14% less likely to die in the hospital, nearly 30% less likely to suffer a blood clot in their lungs.
And coming up next,
the importance of getting screened for colon cancer and when you should start.
And some cool but nice weather on the way. It's going to stick around through the weekend, then another big warm up as we continue up and down, up and down. We'll have your complete forecast coming up right after this break, and thank you for making us your choice. It's Local 3 News.
Local 3 Traffic, presented by CHI Memorial. Our team of cancer specialists review and recommend the best treatment options to care for our patients. And nurse navigators help patients throughout their journey with cancer. Learn more at memorial.org/cancer.
Seeing some heavy traffic, Highway 153 around Amicola Highway. Also watch out for delays, I-24 as you head through the Ridge Cut. And seeing some heavier traffic, I-24 around the 27th split. Actually, an accident to watch out for westbound 24 at the 27th split. We'll be off on the shoulder, but again, drive carefully if you head that way. Also watch for crews working to clear an accident on Dealer Avenue at Shallowford. And also one to look out for on Central Avenue at East Martin Luther King Boulevard. From the US 101 Information Center, it's Mo with your Local 3 Traffic.
Oh, colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer diagnosed in both men and women.
In Eye on Health, Latrice Curry talks to a woman who says she's the perfect example of what can happen if you don't get screened.
Katy Perry is a social worker at Erlanger, but back in 2019, she became a patient after getting sick and not being able to figure out what was going on.
I threw up the whole year, and it didn't matter what I ate or what I did, exercise or not. some days were good and some days were bad, but most days, by the time I got to the diagnosis, it was bad.
Perry was diagnosed with colon cancer during her screening, which she got at age 50.
And it took me turning 50 and it being time to have that colonoscopy for it to be found.
The American Cancer Society recommends that people at average risk of colorectal cancer start regular screening at age 45. Perry recently had another setback.
So I'm now stage 4 metastatic colon cancer, and I have done 8 weeks of treatments that were one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Perry did not have a family history of colon cancer. She says getting the diagnosis was like going through the 7 stages of dying.
Because I could think of nothing else. When you wake up in the morning and put your feet on the floor and go, I have cancer, it is a slap in the face. And again, thank goodness I've got good coworkers, because I was non-functional really for 2 weeks.
Perry says she is the perfect example of what not to do when it comes to getting your colon screening.
The screening can save your life. If I had had my screening done a year before, or gosh forbid, the 45, when I turned 45 and had the screening, perhaps I would not have had cancer.
Latrice Curry with that story. And Perry is scheduled to have surgery to remove the tumor from her liver. She hopes to get a good report after the procedure.
A bill focused on improving roadside safety is heading to Tennessee Governor Bill Lee's desk. It's the Hannah Eimer's Memorial Tennessee Roadside Safety Hardware Act. Hannah passed away after her car ran off Interstate 75, hitting a defective guardrail in McMinn County. Her father, Steve Eimers, has been pushing for this legislation, which would require manufacturers of guardrails to undergo third-party testing.
It truly has the ability to change roadside safety hardware, the safety of these products, not just in rural McMinn County, Tennessee, not just in Tennessee, not just in the U.S., but worldwide.
By the governor, the law will take effect on July 1st. Well, I've asked David Carnes this question a few times over the last couple of weeks, and that is winter really, really over?
Well, let's let him answer that, because I guess I could speculate, but it wouldn't do any good. What about it, David?
Winter is really over. Now, winter-like weather, maybe not so much. How's that for riding the fence, if you will? Yeah, it is going to be really nice, cooler over the weekend. We will have maybe a couple of mornings, especially Sunday morning, where we may actually see some frost developing, but that is not uncommon for this time of the year. Of course, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen at least once or twice every year. So walking through the neighborhood this evening, you might want to put on a light jacket. It's going to be breezy, temperatures falling quickly from the 60s into the 50s. We'll hit 59 degrees by 8 p.m. And our headline showing mostly sunny, breezy, bit cooler as we head through the day. And then we're going to have, as we move into the weekend, that cooler weather just amplifying. So your temperature right now, it is breezy and temperatures fairly seasonable right now. 65 in Chattanooga, 64 in Cleveland. Look at the wind blowing out of the west-southwest at 18 miles per hour. My goodness. And the sustained winds all across the Tennessee Valley are 10 to 20 miles per hour. We've had wind gusts today in excess of 25 to 35 miles per hour. So it's been another breezy, gusty day. Not as bad as yesterday, but still you felt it if you were outdoors for any length of time. Moving through the evening, those winds will slowly begin to recede, and then we're going to have breezy weather again tomorrow afternoon, but overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, I think the winds will die down. Just looking ahead, next 6 to 10 days, really next week, talking about cool weather this weekend, we're going to slowly warm up, actually getting into the upper 70s as we head through the middle of next week, and then late next week into next weekend, we're going to have another batch of colder air sliding in. So up and down the weather roller coaster goes. Clouds and radar showing the rain off to the east, looking at clear skies overhead for the most part right now, and it'll stay fairly clear as we move through the evening hours, but this trough of low pressure to our west, that's going to be sliding in during the overnight, pulling up some moisture. We may see 1 or 2 sprinkles tomorrow, but they'll be few and far between, and it's not going to ruin any Friday afternoon plan that you have. So go for it, enjoy. You're going to have a nice Friday and a nice weekend. Saturday, I think we're looking good. You can see some rain showers off to the west. I don't think we'll have problems with those. And then Sunday looks good as well. Again, it's going to be pretty cold in the morning on Sunday. Low 30s. Some of you in the higher elevations will even probably drop into the upper 20s, but I do think we'll have a lot of folks falling below freezing, and I do think we'll also have just about everywhere some potential for frost developing once again. So got the vegetation out, make plans to bring that in Saturday night. Breezy and cool as we head through the night, mostly clear skies. Again, those winds will be calming down west-southwest about 15 miles per hour right now, dropping down to about 5 miles per hour late tonight. Upper 30s and low 40s overnight in the valley, dropping down into the upper 30s in Altamont, over into the Blue Ridge as well, 37 in Murphy. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, 56 for the high. That's it. It's going to be cool and breezy all day. Winds picking back up 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the north-northwest. I put in again a 10% chance for a shower tomorrow, but mainly it's going to be all about the cool, breezy weather. You'll need that sweater all day long tomorrow, sweatshirt, light jacket, whatever you have. Get ready to wear it. It's going to be in the 60-degree range, maybe upper 50s, right around 60 Saturday and Sunday. Look how the low just bottoms out on Sunday morning. 34 in Chattanooga. I think it'll be below freezing outside the city in a lot of spots. And then a slow warm-up taking to the upper 70s Tuesday and Wednesday before yet another front moves in on Thursday, bringing in more showers and storms, guys.
President Biden met with NATO leaders 1 month after Russia invaded Ukraine. Could the emergency summit help put an end to Putin's war? The support new sanctions on the way at 5:30. Plus,
when you're spring cleaning, getting rid of the clutter, don't forget the clutter on your smartphone. I'm Jamie Tucker coming up with some tips to declutter your digital home.
You don't want to wait forever, but you also don't want to panic.
well, Pfizer has voluntarily recalled 3 blood pressure medications. Coming up at 5:30. The reason for the recall and what to do if the medications are prescribed for you or a loved one. Stay with us for Local 3 News at 5:30. We'll see you in less than 10 minutes.
Thousands of refugees made the journey from Ukraine over the border. Many of them have arrived in Poland, traveling to Warsaw. That city's mayor says the city is at its limit and needs help. Here's Jay Gray.
Good evening from the Central train station here in Warsaw. I want to give you an idea of what's unfolding here. It's a 3-level facility, and each level has pockets of refugees, some resting, some charging their phones, getting in contact with people they haven't talked to perhaps in a few days. You've got areas where they can get help from volunteers. Look, Warsaw's taken on more refugees than any city in the world. 300,000 over a 3-week period initially, bumping the population of this city by 20%. And 100,000 of those 300,000 children. Look, they're providing health care, they're providing educations, they're giving these long-term refugees a chance to find employment here. But the mayor has said they are stuck, that they are pushed to their limits and really can't do any more. And so he's really desperately asking for help. You can see the line here, and it is constant in this area because this is the ticket counter. And with everything full, not only here in Warsaw, but mostly across Poland, now these families have to decide how and where they're going to go next. And it's an important decision because we know there are millions inside Ukraine that are homeless as well, and many of them headed this way. That's the very latest from here in Warsaw. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says Russia may be trying to create a pretext for the use of chemical weapons in Ukraine. Well, today, NATO leaders decided to provide support to Ukraine against chemical and biological weapons, install 4 new battle groups in its eastern border, and enhance air and maritime capabilities in the region. Still to come, a custom set of Tiger Woods golf clubs is up for auction.
How much would you pay? Think about it. We're coming back after this break. All right, hardcore sports fans with deep pockets have an opportunity to get their hands on a major piece of sports memorabilia.
Deep pockets is correct. The clubs used by legendary golfer Tiger Woods to win the Tiger Slam will be up for grabs for the first time in years. Golden Age Auctioneers expects the price tag for these historic clubs will likely pass the $1 million mark. If so, they will be the first golf collectible to surpass that 7-digit mark.
Could happen. We want to thank you for watching Local 3 News at 5.
Local 3 News at 5:30 with Greg Glover and Latrice Curry starts now.
Thank you, Cindy and David. President Biden met with NATO allies today for an emergency meeting on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. What additional steps they decided to take to help save Ukraine?
It's a time of year where many clean around their homes. Many forget about their smartphones, though. A few spring cleaning hacks to free up memory space on your devices.
And check your medicine cabinet. Pfizer has recalled some of their blood pressure medications. What you need to know if you or a loved one has had one of these prescriptions.
This is Local 3 News at 5:30.
Thank you for joining us for Local 3 News at 5:30. I'm Latrice Curry.
And I'm Greg Glover. President Joe Biden is in Europe today. He announced more military support for Ukraine, additional sanctions on prominent Russians, and plans to take in up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. His statement followed high-stakes meetings with NATO leaders and a plea from the Ukrainian president for more help. Alice Barr has the story.
President Biden in Brussels for an emergency NATO summit, rallying allies to ramp up their response to Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine.
NATO has never been more united than it is today. Putin is getting exactly the opposite what he intended.
The president announcing new sanctions on 400 Russians
that fuel the Russian war machine.
The Biden administration also planning to let as many as 100,000 Ukrainian refugees into the U.S. and pledging an additional $1 billion in humanitarian aid.
To be engaged and do all we can to ease the suffering and pain.
NATO leaders promising to double their military presence in member nations near Ukraine and send more defense equipment to Ukrainian forces amid concerns that a frustrated Russian President Vladimir Putin could turn to chemical weapons.
Chemical weapons would totally change the nature of the conflict. It will be a blatant violation of international law.
It would trigger a response in kind.
Addressing the summit by video, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky saying just today Russia used phosphorus bombs, killing civilians, though the U.S. has not confirmed that. Zelensky telling the NATO alliance if it stands for peace, it must do more to save innocent lives. President Biden also meeting with G7 allies and the European Council, hoping a global show of force will finally push Putin to halt his rampage across Ukraine. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
President Biden said he believes President Putin has committed war crimes in Ukraine and says he supports kicking Russia out of the G20 group of nations.
Well, hope you had a chance to get outside. Today was an absolutely gorgeous day across the Tennessee Valley.
And Latrice, if you've ever been awakened by a steady against your house or the tree next to your bedroom window, David Carnes not only has the weather, but maybe a good look at a suspect. David.
Yeah, I had to check it. That happened once. I had to check the front door, back door, side door. Woodpecker. All right. Pileated woodpecker. Absolutely love this. And I guess they're starting to come out now. This is like, the second or third picture that we've had in of the woodpeckers coming out and doing their thing. This one, compliments of Leslie Brannon on Signal Mountain. And just a gorgeous shot of a wonderful animal. If you have a picture of anything spring or whatever's going on in your yard, within reason, send it in to weather@local3news.com. Got to be careful with that, right? Taking a stroll this evening. It's going to be good. 65 right now. We do have partly cloudy skies, so skies are going to continue clearing out. The winds are going to continue dying down, but right now it is a little on the breezy side. We also have quite a bit of pollen in the air. The scratchy throat, the watery eyes. Maybe you're sneezing a little bit more. Yeah, it's not just you. It's you with pollen. Tree pollens are in the high category at 382, and we're going to see that continuing probably through the first half of next week, and then a front moving in late next week may give us a little bit of relief, but hey, it's spring, 'tis the season, right? Here are the winds. Look at that, blowing out of the west-southwest at 18 miles per hour. Temperatures in the low to mid-60s. Feels a little much cooler than it was yesterday. As a matter of fact, it is 9 to 10 degrees cooler than 24 hours ago. Looking at those sustained winds, again, that 18 mile per hour wind in Chattanooga, and that's repeated just about everywhere, a 10 to 20 mile per hour sustained wind, but the wind gusts, those bursts of wind, getting all the way up into the 20s and 30s. We had a 30 mile per 4-hour wind gust earlier today in Chattanooga. Our Skywatcher highs checking in with Ronnie saying 65 at East Brainerd. Lookout 60, Somerville, Ben said 67 and 58 in Monteagle. Dayton, we've got 66, 67 in Riceville. Thank you, Cindy, and Rossville at 65 degrees. Well, as we move through the next 12 hours, temperatures fall as we head through sunset, down into the 50s, ultimately down into the low 40s by about 6, 7 tomorrow. And notice we're going to have mostly clear skies through the latter part of the evening, and then we're going to have those clouds building back in tomorrow. Even a slight chance for a sprinkle or two as we head into tomorrow. But the big deal is going to be that cooler air settling in for the weekend. Details in just a moment. Latrice.
Well, some new details on a case out of Cleveland we've been following. Christopher Schroll, the Cleveland teacher accused of filming girls in the locker room, was scheduled to be in court this morning. However, the judge reset the hearing to next month. Schroll was arrested for allegedly filming 30 female students. He's facing 2 counts for unlawful photography of a minor. Stay with Local 3 News as we continue to follow this case.
Opposing attorneys in the case of a woman who accused a former Dalton police officer of sexual harassment and assault are talking. The woman's lawsuit claims Ethan Pugh forced her to perform sex acts on him during ride-alongs in the summer of 2019. Pugh's attorney says the woman is lying and does not have enough evidence.
Dalton PD's own investigation noted that many of the allegations that had been against my client had been exaggerated. As we said, many of the claims that she's brought already, they have been dismissed.
My client ended up doing a ride-along with former Officer Pugh, despite him having been found to have violated the sexual harassment policies of the department previously.
Grunberg there says the plaintiff had hoped to make a career out of law enforcement. No trial date has been set.
As we head into break, we want to remind you that tickets for the 2022 St. Jude Dream Home are on sale now. If you reserve your ticket before March 26th, that's this weekend, you'll also get a chance to win a $2,500 gift card and tickets to a Luke Combs concert.
Reserve that ticket by grabbing your credit card and calling 800-750-6962, or you can go to dreamhome.org. Only Tennessee residents are allowed to reserve or buy tickets online because of state laws. Residents of other states, though, can buy by phone. Last year, the earliest sellout ever, just over a month after tickets went on sale. So get yours now. They're $100. Local 3 News continues next.
3 Traffic, presented by CHI Memorial. Our team of cancer specialists review and recommend the best treatment options to care for our patients. And nurse navigators help patients throughout their journey with cancer. Learn more at memorial.org/cancer.
Chattanooga police work at accidents, River Run Drive at Vincent, Signal Mountain Road near Lowwater Road, also East 3rd at Lindsay, and working a clear one up on Beeler Avenue at Shallowford Road. Heavy traffic, watch out for it as you travel I-24 through that ridge cut. Also seeing heavy traffic northbound 153 near Amicola Highway, and some heavy traffic if you are heading northbound 75 from the Ottawa exit, trying to head over White Oak Mountain towards Cleveland. From the US 101 Information Center, it's Mo with your Local 3 Traffic.
Thank you, Mo. Fire crews from several towns battled a fire at a potato factory in Belfast, Maine. Crews were called to the scene around 3:30 this morning. Officials do not have any information about how it started, but there are no injuries reported. School officials closed the Belfast Area High School today due to smoke blowing toward the school. The facility makes specialty frozen potato products.
In Florida, a driver is dead after hitting an alligator. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said overnight, 59-year-old John Hopkins hit that 11-foot-long gator that was in the middle of the road. He lost control of his car and flipped into a ditch. Passing drivers noticed that car and called 911, but he was pronounced dead at the scene.
In Fort Worth found a former Boeing test pilot not guilty of lying to regulators about a key flight control system on the 737 MAX. His legal team said Mark Faulkner was being made a scapegoat in the case surrounding 2 fatal crashes of those planes that killed 346 people. A federal district court jury deliberated less than 2 hours before finding Faulkner not guilty on 4 counts of wire fraud.
Coming up on Local 3 News at 5:30.
Our consumer technology reporter Jamie Tucker has some tips on freeing up memory space on your phone.
And we're looking at some cool but really nice weather as we head toward the end of the week and your big weekend. I'm going to have your complete forecast coming up right after this short break. And thank you so much for watching Local 3 News. We're back.
Well, for many of us, the first days of spring mean a few days of spring cleaning, dusting, scrubbing, and maybe cleaning out closets and storage rooms.
If you'd rather, your spring cleaning does not require you to break a sweat. Our consumer technology reporter Jamie Tucker says, don't forget the place you spend most of your time, your digital home or smartphone.
Every spring, my job is to clean out this storage room. And over the year, it gets cluttered with things that we don't need, just like a smartphone. So before I tackle this storage space, I want to tackle the one on my phone. Go to Settings and Storage. Review those large attachments using over 1 gigabyte of space. These are mostly videos and photos and text messages. You may be able to review them, but not all of them. So open the Messages app and delete the text you no longer need. Pay close attention to messages with attachments. Back in Settings and Storage, see which apps are taking the most space. On an Android phone, it's in Device Management. Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram probably use a lot of your storage for no reason. The easiest way to free up that space is by deleting the app. I deleted the TikTok app and it's 613 megabytes of data. Reinstalled the app and signed back in. Now I have more space on the phone and TikTok still works the same. Just like you do with clothes you haven't worn in over a year, get rid of apps you don't use. On an iPhone, swipe to the end of the home screen and tap App Library. On an Android device, it's Settings and App Storage. Free apps are constantly tracking your activity, so if you don't use them, delete them. But don't forget, before you do anything, back up your device and restore it from that backup. Otherwise, you might lose something that you need. I covered a lot here, and I have step-by-step directions on all of these tips on my blog, whatthetech.tv. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
And if you missed those, you can find them on our website as well, local3news.com.
It's officially time to start heading back to AT&T Field. The Chattanooga Lookouts and BCSG 360 are hosting the Scenic City Diamond Classic this Saturday. The game is set to feature Kentucky State and Morehouse College, which is a first for these two teams. This is just part of a whole season of honoring Black history through baseball.
You know, it's just going to be a great event. It's got featuring a Negro leaguer. Dennis Biddle is going to come. He'll be signing autographs, and the game's at 12 and gates open at 11.
Tickets are $10 in advance and $15 at the door for adults. You can purchase your tickets online on lookouts.com. The Lookouts will be partnering with the Bessie Smith Cultural Center throughout the season, honoring other players, including Jackie Robinson, with a Jackie Robinson Day.
Get out and meet these guys while they're still around. They're a national treasure. Beautiful day for baseball, and if the wind was blowing in the right direction, David, it could take that ball right over the fence, maybe.
Yeah, I would have to be blowing really hard to, I've never been able to, anyway. Greg, you're telling me that you and I, both theater folk, were not great athletes? Weird.
We try hard, though.
Try hard.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's all you can do. The driveway is in bloom. Boy, isn't that beautiful. There is a lot of beautiful scenery in Cohutta, Georgia, by the way. If you've never been down there, make it a point, go down there and check it out, especially during the spring when everything's blooming. The Bradford pears, it looks like Bradford pears. That's what I'm calling them. If you know different, let me know. But Chris and Stacy White, thank you so much. This is the entrance to the Circle Bar W Ranch. And it is a gorgeous site, and thank you for sharing that with us. Of course, if you have a picture you want to share, you can do that by sending it to weather at local3news.com. We will try to get it on. We'll at least put it on social media if we can't get them all on. Taking a walk through the neighborhood, it is going to be nice but breezy. A lot of pollen out there right now. 65 degrees right now in Chattanooga. We'll drop down to 62 by 7 o'clock, 59 by 8 p.m. Skies will be clearing through the night, and the winds will die down somewhat during the evening as well. But right now, still blowing at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. 65 is the current temperature in Chattanooga, 63 in Cleveland. There's that wind out of the west-southwest in Chattanooga at 18 miles per hour, 61 degrees in Murphy and 63 currently in Athens. Well, looking ahead to next week, we're going to have cool weather through the weekend. Next week, we're going to have a warm pattern that's shaping up. That'll see our highs taking us all the way to the upper 70s, flirting with 80 by next week. Now, by the end of next week, see all of this cooler air backed up? By the end of next week, we're going to have another front sliding in, bring some rain, thunderstorms. Behind that, we will have another batch of colder air working its way in. So we're going to go up and down for the next couple of weeks. For the next couple of days, it is going to be much cooler behind this front. Already we have that cooler air somewhat in place. It'll stay fairly chilly as we head into into Friday. Notice this trough of low pressure that's going to work its way in. It'll bring in some cloud cover, maybe draw up a little moisture, and I'll put us at a 10% chance of a late morning or early afternoon sprinkle. Nothing at all that's going to cancel any plans or harm you. If you're going to be outdoors for any length of time, you should be fine. Saturday, we have this front sliding through. Won't have a lot of moisture to work with. I don't think we'll get any rain from it, but it will reinforce the cool air in place. As a matter of fact, Saturday night into Sunday morning, we will even see our temperatures cooling further. We'll have a low in the low 30s, and some of you might even drop into the upper 20s on Sunday morning. So it is going to be cold. I would expect some areas of frost on Sunday morning as well. Moving on into Sunday afternoon, we're looking good. We'll be up to about 60 degrees, and then we'll see a warm-up taking place again next week. So breezy and cool tonight, mostly clear skies. Will drop down into the upper 30s and low 40s, pretty much widespread in the valley and in the higher elevations. And then mostly cloudy, cool, and breezy tomorrow. Very slight chance of a late morning or early afternoon shower. We'll have highs only in the mid-50s. Look at this, 56 Chattanooga, even low 50s in the higher elevations. 7-day forecast, here you go, 10% chance of a sprinkle Friday. And then over the weekend, a little bit warmer in the afternoon, but still cool, 60 Saturday and Sunday, 40 on Saturday morning, and then look at that 34 on Sunday afternoon. Still chilly on Monday morning, but we'll start our warm-up. That'll take us into the upper 70s, even 79 by Wednesday. And then our next front, that's going to usher in that next batch of cooler air. That is going to first bring in some more rain and thunderstorm activity on Thursday.
As temperatures warm, there's a greater chance that you could see a honeybee swarm. Tonight at 6, meet a local man who's ready to step in and take those bees to a safe place, and why it's so important to protect the hive.
Big news on the jobs front. Jobless claims have dropped to a nearly 53-year low. Numbers from the Labor Department show just 187,000 people in the U.S. filed for initial weekly unemployment benefits last week. That's much lower than they expected. Last time the jobless claims level was that low was 1969.
Well, Pfizer has voluntarily recalled 3 blood pressure medications this week due to a concern over an organic compound that's found in them, which could pose a cancer risk over time. So if you're on those medications, what do you do now? Mandy Gaither talks to a cardiologist to find out.
3 medications to treat high blood pressure being voluntarily recalled by Pfizer due to a concern over the amount of an organic compound called nitrosamines found in certain lots of the medicine.
This is not the first time medications have been taken off the market because of this type of chemical reaction.
According to the FDA, nitrosamines are commonly found in low levels in meats, vegetables, dairy, and water, but being exposed to excessive levels may increase the risk of cancer over long periods of time. While Pfizer says it isn't aware of any reports of adverse effects from the use of the medication, the company has voluntarily recalled Accuredic tablets as well as 2 authorized generics distributed by Greenstone. If you're on these medications, the first thing to do is call your pharmacist, says Dr. Lakshmi Mehta, a cardiologist at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center.
See if you have received the batch or lot that has been recalled.
If you have that recalled lot, talk to your doctor about alternative medications you can take, but Mehta says do not stop taking the medicine until you get a replacement.
Because untreated high blood pressure has its own ramifications, including heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure.
While you shouldn't delay a call to your pharmacy, Mehta says this isn't cause for immediate concern.
You don't want to wait forever, but you also don't want to panic.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
You can also find out the specific lots affected by the recall by visiting Pfizer.com.
It's inspection findings after a major baby formula recall. Those findings show Abbott Nutrition failed to ensure the surfaces in the plant that touch the formula could prevent contamination. The manufacturer recalled several lots of baby formula made at its Sturgis manufacturing plant in February. The recalled formulas have been linked to serious infections in 5 infants and even 2 deaths.
Ford has issued a recall for some of its trucks and SUVs because of a brake fluid leak. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, close to 200,000 vehicles could potentially be affected. They include F-150s from 2016 to 2018, Expeditions from 2016 to 2017, and Lincoln Navigators from 2016 to 2017. If your car is impacted, dealers will replace the brake master cylinder free of charge. Still to come here on Local 3 News at 5:30.
This weekend, a chance to see the Chickamauga Dam from a different perspective. Details on a tour by kayak just ahead.